Shocking truth. My daughter-in-law's brutal claim on my son's $30 million will at 3 a.m. The clock ticked ominously towards 3 in the morning when Sarah's screams shattered the darkness, echoing off the walls of the immense mansion. The moonlight unveiled her face, twisted in shock, her hands trembling as she clutched a crumpled piece of paper. How could she? The words spilled from her lips like blood from a wound. A brutal claim had been made, shaking the very foundation of their family. It was a story ripe with betrayal, greed, and a chilling twist of fate. Just hours earlier, laughter had filled the air during the birthday party. Friends toasted with glasses of champagne, humor intertwining with nostalgia as they reminisced. But amidst the jovial atmosphere, shadows lurked. Tiny whispers floated through the crowd like phantom memories. Was that a hint of envy in Jennifer's eyes? The wife of Sarah's late son, a woman of facade and charm, now revealed to be a mastermind in a chilling game of inheritance. The sudden switch from charming to harrowing left everyone on edge, something unseen curling around their hearts like barbed wire as Sarah staggered back. More than the paper slipped from her shaking hands. Secrets untold began to surface, deep-rooted fears wrestling for control. The will contained not just money. It was a Pandora's box waiting to expose darkness. How could Jennifer dare claim it at this ungodly hour? The weight of a $30 million fortune loomed over them like a dark cloud, threatening to burst at any moment. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension thickened as they gathered in the dim light of the living room, eyes darting. Sarah's heart raced. Could she trust anyone? Whispers began to echo amongst the guests, their eyes wide in disbelief, murmurs of "I can't believe this," trashing the air as they tried to piece together the shocking night. The air felt electric, charged with uncertainty, the kind you feel right before a storm breaks loose. Would betrayal lead to ruin, or was there a path back to trust? As dawn approached, Sarah grasped the paper fiercely, her lifeline through a deepening chasm of family betrayal. But something inside her stirred. Questions bubbled forth. What else did Jennifer hide behind her mask of deceit? What had been unleashed at this unholy hour? The answer lingered just out of reach, like a mirage in the desert. Sarah's resolve strengthened. She wouldn't let Jennifer take everything. Not without a fight. The dawn broke slowly, casting pale light over Sarah's conflicted face. She felt the weight of the paper in her hands, as if it were a stone dragging her deeper into the abyss of despair. The silence in the room was deafening. Shadows of doubt danced through the crowd, and every eye seemed glued to Jennifer, who stood in her corner, an enigma swathed in veils of betrayal and desperation. Enough, Sarah finally shouted, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. We need to confront this. Now. The words echoed back to her, heavy with finality. She glanced at her trembling hands, a mixture of fury and fear coursing through her veins. Around her a chorus of anxious murmurs rose, uncertainty tightening its grip on everyone present. Jennifer lifted her chin, eyes narrowing defiantly. You brought this upon yourself, Sarah. You never had faith in me. This will is nothing but proof of my struggle to endure your family's cruelty. Her voice was sharp, a razor-edged sword aimed directly at Sarah's heart. The room fell silent, the gravity of those words sinking in. You think this is about money? Sarah spat back, feeling an electric shock resonate through her body. This is about our family, our honor. You married into this family. You were supposed to carry our legacy forward, not tear it apart for your gain. The guests stirred. It felt like a bubbling cauldron ready to explode. Some quietly backed away, while others leaned in, eager to witness the fray that unfolded. A cousin, Jake, broke the silence yet again, his voice trembling. This can't be true, Jen. Surely you wouldn't expose us like this. Jen's cool demeanor threatened to crack as her lips quivered. What you all don't realize is that when Daniel passed, he left behind more than just a fortune. He left behind enemies, threats, who want to take everything we built. I'm merely protecting what he gave us. Her words dripped with a concoction of sincerity and deceit. Suddenly, Sarah's vision sharpened, memories flooding back to her. He told me. No, he warned me. He claimed there were secrets hidden even from me. The chill that ran down her spine was a stark reminder of the fractured trust and the crumbling walls around her. Secrets that Jennifer knew? What else didn't you tell me? What lies have you spun to ensnare us? The accusation rang out, a terrified growl in the depths of Sarah's throat. A gasp swept through the room. Each guest exchanged furtive glances, the unspoken question lingering in the air: what other horrors could be buried beneath the polished surface of their lives? As the weight of uncertainty hung thick over them, Sarah's heart thudded loudly against her ribcage. She felt the urgency to act, to dig deeper before it was too late. What kind of monster have I allowed into this house? No more secrets and no more lies. She stepped forward, eyes locked onto Jennifer's. Tonight we unravel this web you've spun. We may be a divided family, but we will find out the truth together. Jennifer forced a smirk, masking her growing unease. Then let the games begin, Sarah. But be careful what you wish for. Some truths are better left buried. A palpable dread settled back in, pressing against Sarah's chest. A game? The stakes were far higher than she had anticipated, and with each passing second, she could feel the shadows closing in. The true horror of what lay ahead took root in her mind. Would they be ready to face the darkness together? Or would it tear their fragile family apart once and for all? As the echoes of their confrontation faded, one thing was clear: this was only the beginning. What secrets awaited them beneath the surface, hidden like the lurking shadows? And was there still time to save what little remained of their legacy? The tension in the room shifted, a palpable force hanging in the air. Sarah could feel the heat rise in her cheeks as she studied Jennifer's expression. The defiance had morphed into something darker, something more dangerous. It was as if the weight of their shared history suddenly pressed harder than the earlier accusations. Let us start digging then, Sarah declared, eyes blazing with newfound determination. She turned to her cousin Jake, who had stood stunned, lost in the fallout of Jennifer's revelation. Get the family records. We need to see everything that was left behind and everything that was taken from us. The guests exchanged anxious glances, shifting nervously as though waiting for the ground to tremble beneath them. Sarah could feel their fear just below the surface mingling with her own. But the thought of uncovering truths about Daniel kept her moving forward. Wait! Jennifer cut in, her voice a rising pitch of panic as her composure started to crack. You don't know what you're asking for. This will not offer you the clarity you think it will. It will open wounds too deep to heal. Or it could expose the lies and deceit you've woven into this family. Sarah shot back, her voice stronger now, echoing with conviction. Why are you acting like the victim? Jake stepped up, his voice steady despite the turmoil swirling around them. You've turned an entire family upside down with this stunt. What's your end game? Jennifer seemed to recoil, her confident facade breaking as her eyes darted around the room, searching for allies among the mounting hostility. Enough! She shouted, desperation tinged with rage. You all think I'm the enemy here? You have no idea what I've been protecting you from. You're blind to the real danger. Daniel was scared. He had enemies, people who wanted to destroy us. A collective gasp escaped the audience, the murmurs rising again. The stakes were higher than mere inheritance. They were embroiled in a battle for survival. Sarah's heart raced as she processed each word, fraught with underlying implications. Then tell us the truth, Jennifer, she demanded, her voice steady but low like a coiled spring ready to snap. If we're all in danger, we deserve to know everything. The silence that followed was deafening, only broken by the clock ticking loudly in the background, each second magnifying the dread swelling within the room. Finally Jennifer whispered, there are names. He left behind a list of threats, people who could hurt us. I didn't want to scare you. But if you dig into Daniel's affairs, you might expose us all. What do you mean us all? Jake pressed, taking a step forward, tightening the noose of suspicion around Jennifer. But before she could respond, a sudden crash echoed from the back of the house, shocking everyone into silence. All heads turned, shock replacing the previous tension. The distant sound of shattering glass hung heavily in the air, mingling with the chilling whisper of something sinister just beyond their immediate fears. Sarah's mind raced. What was that? She could feel the presence of danger looming larger than ever. What secrets had they unknowingly invited into their home? Maybe we shouldn't have pushed her, Jake murmured, fear creeping into his voice. We can't retreat now. We can't let fear control us, Sarah countered, clenching her fists. We need to be stronger. For Daniel. For our family. But even as she spoke, she felt a sinking feeling. An unshakable sense that something darker lurked just beyond the fragile facade they had built. Then came an ominous thud, followed by a whispered, chilling voice that sent shivers racing down her spine. It's not over yet. What horrors awaited them just outside the realm of their cushioned lives? What secrets lay in the shadows of their very foundations, threatening to destroy everything? Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, drowning out the ensuring silence that filled the room. She glanced at Jake, whose face had drained of color. The air went heavy with anticipation, the kind that came before a storm. Did you hear that? He whispered, barely masking his rising panic. What was it? Came a voice from one of the guests, trembling and wavering. Sarah's eyes darted toward Jennifer, who had gone completely still. A mix of fear and defiance flickered in her gaze. More than you realize, Jennifer said, her voice low, almost conspiratorial. Another crash echoed from further inside the house, a loud echo as though something had fallen. Instinctively, Sarah took a step back, one part of her wanting to run, the other part urging her on, drawn by the possibility of truth. They were too far in now. Jake shot a look at Sarah, his eyes wide. We need to check it out. We have to see what's happening. She nodded resolutely, taking charge as her mind raced through their options. Okay, we'll stick together. No one goes off on their own. As they moved toward the kitchen, the atmosphere tightened like a vice, each step laden with unspoken fears. Shadows danced across the walls, cast by flickering light bulbs that struggled valiantly against the growing darkness. Suddenly, Jennifer reached out, grabbing Sarah's arm. You don't understand, do you? It's not just the names. If they find that list, everything will change. You have to promise me you won't. Look. Look. Jake echoed, shaking his head. How can we not? How can we sit idle when our backs are against the wall? Daniel entrusted us with those records for a reason. Jennifer bit her lip, eyes darting around nervously. If you want to honor him, you should protect the family from the truth. Jennifer, Sarah said sharply, you need to decide where your loyalty lies. This doesn't feel right. Are you holding back something vital? Before she could press further, a loud shattering erupted from the room adjacent, a heavy thud resonating nearby, followed by the unmistakable sound of a low, guttural whisper. Get out! The three froze. That voice, it was clear it was angry. Whatever had been awakened within those walls was now venturing closer. Emboldened, they exchanged terrified glances. We have to go, Jake urged, practically yanking Sarah back as he drove her towards the exit. Now, Sarah, before it's too late. But Sarah could feel an undeniable pull towards the chaos. No, we can't run away from this. There's something we have to confront here. Just then, lights flickered out entirely, plunging them into darkness. The shadows melted into an overwhelming black, and Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, heart hammering in her ears. A sudden crash, something heavy fell to the floor in the darkness, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps marching deliberately across the room. In an instant, Sarah's pulse quickened. It's coming! Someone's in the house. We have to hide, Jake shouted, trying to find something solid amidst the darkness. No, we have to stand our ground. The conviction in Sarah's voice surprised her even as she spoke it. Whatever hunted Daniel is still here. We can't let it take us too. As the footsteps approached, a chilling laugh echoed through the air, freezing Sarah's blood. She felt the hair on her arms stand up, terror washing over her. They were not alone. Are you ready to discover what's lurking in the shadows? A voice taunted from the darkness, weaving through the air like poison. Sarah's stomach twisted, dread pooling deep inside her. The night had only just begun, and the real terror lay just outside their grasp. What have we awakened? Her breath hitched, and before she could answer, a door creaked ominously, and a figure loomed large in the dark. Would they summon the courage to confront this dark entity, or would fear shatter their unity for good? The figure stepped forward, a silhouette barely illuminated by the faint light from the hallway. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the bone-chilling laughter echoed once more, sending shivers down her spine. It was more than just a presence. It was a dark force that seemed to revel in their terror. "Who are you?" Jake shouted, his voice trembling but laced with defiance. He couldn't let fear consume him now. But the figure just chuckled, low and sultry, the sound curling into the space between them. "You don't need to know my name. What you should be asking is, what do I want?" Suddenly Jennifer gasped, a sound that cut through the looming dread. "It knows. It knows what we were after." She stepped back, fear flashing in her eyes, as if the truth had slapped her across the face. "Jennifer, no." Sarah reached for her, but the darkness swallowed her up. The laughter turned manic, mixing with the echo of footsteps as they swept through the shadows. Jake's grip on Sarah tightened. "We can't let it divide us." His eyes burned with a fierce determination. "Stay close no matter what." But before they could move, the air shifted and a cold gust surged through the room, extinguishing the last flickers of light. Panic clawed at Sarah's insides as she felt the oppressive weight of darkness close in. "Get out while you still can." The voice hissed, sounding closer, as if the darkness itself were alive, breathing down their necks. Sarah fought against the urge to flee. "What is happening? We have to stick together." In the darkness, she felt something brush against her skin, an icy grasp that sent her instinctively recoiling. She stumbled back, colliding with Jake, who steadied her. But fear had turned his face pale, mirroring her own dread. The figure materialized again, closer now, its face obscured, but a pair of piercing eyes glimmered like embers in the night. "So brave, yet so foolish. Who do you think you can save?" "Daniel trusted us," Sarah shouted into the void, desperation sharpening her voice. "We won't just roll over." "Trust," the entity sneered, "is a funny thing, isn't it? But do you truly know what trust can cost?" Then, with a piercing decision, Sarah turned to Jake and Jennifer. "We need that list. Whatever it takes, we have to find it." But as she spoke, a grip of cold dread closed in on them, and a haunting whisper filled the air around them. "The truth is never as pretty as you think. Not in this house. Not with what you carry." Visions of Daniel's face flickered in Sarah's mind. His gentle smile turned twisted in fear. What had he uncovered? Why did Jennifer react so strongly? "Why are you here?" Sarah yelled, panic breaking through her conviction. "What do you want?" A ghastly silence filled the space, punctuated by a single crackling laugh. "I want what's mine. And I will take it all from you." Suddenly, the floorboards creaked as something heavy began to drag itself toward them, closer with each heartbeat. Sarah's heart raced, pounding against her chest like a trapped animal, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Run!" she screamed, her voice raw with urgency. But where? The shadows were closing in at the last moment. She caught a flicker of movement, a glimpse of something shining in the dark. The list. It had to be nearby. "Jake, find a light," she urged, not turning to see his response, desperate to keep moving. With a surge of determination, they pushed through the darkness in search of answers, knowing they had to uncover the truth before whatever haunted these walls consumed them whole. But as they ventured deeper into the house, the chilling question hung heavy in the air. Would they uncover the buried secrets, or find themselves lost forever in the dark? As chaos ensued, a blood-curdling scream erupted from the depths of the house, echoing through the darkness. Who or what was waiting for them at the end of this terrifying journey? Sarah crashed into the nearest wall, gasping, her pounding heart drowning out the chaotic noise of the house. Her mind raced, grappling with what was happening. "We can't just stand here," she shouted, urgency lacing her every word. But fear rooted her to the spot. What if the next step only led them deeper into the grip of this malevolent force? Jake's voice cut through the tension, sharp as broken glass. "I'll find the light. Stay close." He turned, plunging into the darkness, the soft light from his phone flickering as he ran. The shadows twisted around him, but he pressed on, fueled by adrenaline. Jennifer, too paralyzed by terror, hardly moved. "What if it's too late?" she whispered, her eyes wide and glassy, reflecting the fear that had taken hold of the room. "No," Sarah shouted, shaking her head. "We haven't lost yet. Daniel believed in us." She made a decision right there, one that surged within her like a flame igniting in the dark. They wouldn't give in. They couldn't. "Sarah, behind you." Jennifer's voice trembled, pulling Sarah's attention away from her thoughts. Something shifted in the shadows. A shape that seemed to grow larger, more menacing. Sarah felt it before she saw it, an unnatural presence that exhaled pure dread. "Jake!" she yelled, but her voice faltered as she turned, and all that met her was darkness. The oppressive stench of decay and mildew clawed at her throat. "We have to go now." The cold laughter echoed again, layer by layer, filling up the space like a twisted symphony. "You think your friend can save you?" the entity taunted. "He is lost already, like you will be soon." Sarah felt the weight in the air shift, almost as if the house itself held its breath. Each moment stretched into an eternity. Every creak, every stir made her feel like the walls were closing in on her. And then, with desperation clutching her heart, Sarah bombarded the void with her voice. "Whatever you are, you won't stop us." The laughter morphed into a shrill cackle, pulsating with bitterness. "How naive. You think you can win against the truth? The truth that binds you? It's in this very house, it's in your hearts." A sudden blaze of light illuminated the hallway as Jake re-emerged, his phone's beam cutting through the dark like a sword. There he stood, breathing heavily, hair disheveled, determination etched across his face. But it was the fear in his eyes that made Sarah's blood run cold. "I found it," he cried out, holding something clasped tight in his hand. "But you won't believe what it holds." As he stepped closer, the figure recoiled. "No, you cannot take that. It doesn't belong to you." "Then where does it belong?" Sarah shouted, facing the apparition with renewed resolve. The entity pulsated, glimmering in the light, revealing a twisted smile that sent chills spiraling down Sarah's spine. "It belongs to the dead." In that moment, everything clicked. They weren't just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for Daniel's legacy, for the pieces of truth buried in the darkness of this house. Based on what they learned, they could either reclaim the past or unleash a darker fate. With the distant, echoing cry of dread still ringing in her ears, she edged closer to Jake, who was holding the glimmering object like it was their lifeline. "Open it," she urged. But even as the words left her lips, she sensed the looming danger. Shadows writhed, descending like a suffocating cloak. "Don't!" the voice shrieked, the ferocity shaking the floor beneath their feet. And just like that, the piercing scream unleashed from the depths echoed once more, drowning them in a sea of terror. What secrets lay within that object? Would it unlock the path to escape? Or would it unleash horrors they could never contain? The tension hung thick in the air, leading to a chilling cliffhanger. As the shadows surged, swallowing the light, what dark truth would they unveil next? The shadows twisted tighter, choking the flickering beam from Jake's phone. It felt like the air itself was closing in, suffocating, as Sarah struggled to make sense of it all. "Jake, we need to act," she shouted, panic breaking her voice. Her heart hammered against her chest, each thud a reminder of just how alive she was in a place that wanted to rob her of that very life. Jake hesitated, his grip tightening around the strange object in his hand. "But what if it's a trap?" His voice was shaky, the tremor unnerving. The shadowy figure pulsed closer, almost eager, as if it could smell their fear like a hunter stalking its prey. "Trust me," Sarah insisted, refusing to succumb to the encroaching dread. "We can't run from this. Daniel wouldn't have given up." Jennifer, finally finding her voice, stepped forward. "But what if Daniel is?" She couldn't finish her thought. The weight of her unspoken fears hung heavy, and all three felt it. What if Daniel was truly lost? The laughter from the figure grew louder, echoing off the walls with a sinister mirth. "You think you can stop what has already been set in motion? You're tangled in a web far beyond your comprehension." A surge of desperation gripped Sarah. She took a step towards Jake, who was still battling his instinct to flee. "Jake, whatever is in there, we need to know. We have to confront the truth." She pointed to his clenched fist. "That's our chance." In that split second, the entity lunged forward, its twisted form lunging, hungry for their fear. Shadows elongated, clawing at Jake, trying to wrench the light away. "Open it," Sarah shouted again, each word spilling with urgency, reaching out towards Jake. "Do it now." The hesitation shattered like glass. With a deep breath, Jake pulled back the object's cover. A burst of light erupted, momentarily banishing the shadows and forcing the entity to recoil. Sarah squinted against the glare, fear snapping to raw hope. Amid the brilliance, faded images sprouted from the object, images of Daniel, smiling, laughing. Each face flickered, then morphed into scenes of confusion, sorrow. What is this? Jake breathed, his eyes wide as he scanned the memories unraveling before them. Think it's, Sarah whispered, trembling. It's a record of everything that happened here. Daniel wanted us to see to understand. The shadows writhed, shrieking in panic. No, you will not uncover the past. The walls themselves vibrated, an angry pulse that threatened to come crashing down. Then let us choose, Jennifer shouted, newfound strength bubbling within her. We decide our fate, not you. But the entity lashed out again, more furious, its voice now a cacophony of rage. You think you can challenge me? This truth will destroy you. Jake stumbled back, nearly losing his balance. Hold the light steady, Sarah commanded, her hands trembling as she took strength from their resolve. Before them the shimmering display shifted, revealing one last haunting image, a final moment with Daniel. One they had never seen, a warning and a beckon intertwined. He was trying to tell us the truth before it all went wrong, Sarah murmured, a chill trickling down her spine. The shadows recoiled as the image solidified, the entity hissing in agony. Then what do we do? Jennifer asked, fear pooling in her voice as chaos surrounded them. I don't know. Sarah's heart raced faster. But we need to find that truth before it finds us. Even as she spoke, the darkness lunged, grasping at their souls, threatening to swallow them whole. In that split second of uncertainty, a flicker of clarity emerged, leading them toward their next choice. What truth would they face? And then, without warning, the light flared once more, blinding them as a doorway appeared in the shadows, beckoning them with promises of revelation and peril. What lay beyond that threshold? Would they step forward and confront the darkness, or retreat into the abyss of fear? The doorway pulsed like a heartbeat, a strange mix of dread and promise that wrapped around Sarah, Jake, and Jennifer. Every instinct screamed to run, yet the pull of the light beckoned them forward. Time stood still, each second stretching into eternity as they stood on the precipice of choice. This is it, Sarah whispered, a tremor slithering down her spine. What if we're wrong? Jake's grip was still tight on the strange object, its warmth somehow grounding amidst the chaos. We can't go back, he said, voice stealing. We owe it to Daniel. Jennifer's eyes darted around, scanning the darkness, as if something might spring out at them. But what if it's a trap? Her voice was a fragile thread, fraying under the weight of fear. We have to, Sarah snapped, frustration bursting through her. We won't find peace until we know the truth. With a shared look of determination, the trio inched toward the doorway. The light shimmered, revealing a swirling void beyond, so alluring yet foreboding. Each step felt heavy, and the shadows seemed to whisper taunts, the air thick with anticipation. As they crossed the threshold, the world flipped. They found themselves in a vast room, walls lined with mirrors, reflecting their own anxious faces, but also distorting them in bizarre ways. The light from the object in Jake's hand flickered, catching the edges of the mirror images. Each fragment showed them different realities, different outcomes. What is this place? Jennifer breathed, stepping back as her reflection warped into a grotesque mimic of her fear. It's showing us, Sarah started, but her voice trailed off as she stepped closer to one of the mirrors. There she saw Daniel, but not as she remembered him. In this reflection he was frantic, pleading, "Help me. You have to wake up." His lips did not move, but the anguish in his eyes was all too real. Jake gasped, pointing. "That's him. Is he trapped?" Jennifer whispered, eyes wide. "No, it's not that simple," Sarah said, feeling her heart race. "I think this shows what he was going through, what he was trying to warn us about. Look." Another mirror displayed a scene of the three of them, huddled together, oblivious to the creeping shadows. Voices echoed, sharp and cruel, drowning their thoughts. They never knew came a haunting whisper that sliced through the tension. Despair crept in, wrapping around them like those same shadows from before. Each mirror revealed different angles of their fear, their regrets. What if they failed Daniel? What if the truth tore them apart? The shadows returned, swirling around their legs, tugging and pulling with icy fingers. "You think you can change what has happened? You're just as trapped as he was." The entity's voice slithered through the air, laced with mocking laughter. A surge of anger ignited within Sarah. "We won't be victims anymore." She stepped forward, pointing at the nearest mirror. "Show us the truth." The mirrors rippled like water, reflecting not just their fears but their strengths. A spark of resilience flickered in her heart. They weren't lost. They had each other. With that realization came a defiant roar from the shadows. The walls shook violently as they screamed. You dare defy me? I will bury you. You will succumb to despair. Not if we fight. Jake bellowed, raising the object high. With Daniel's truth we will fight. The moment unleashed a wave of blinding light that surged through the room, pushing back the shadows. The mirrors shattered, unleashing a cacophony of colors and sounds, as the images of their memories flooded into the air around them. Suddenly visions of moments spent with Daniel, laughter shared, and pain endured collided with the nightmares. But even amidst the chaos, a new question loomed larger than the shadows. Was their fight about to cost them everything? As the light flickered again, a new reality flickered through the shards. Daniel's final moments filled with terror and yet a glint of hope. The question loomed larger than ever: could they save him? Or were they destined to be swallowed by the darkness that loomed? The explosion of light faded, leaving only a shimmering haze. As the shadows shrank back, the air felt heavy with unresolved tension. Sarah, Jake, and Jennifer blinked through the afterglow, their hearts pounding. The shattered mirrors scattered around them like broken dreams, each fragment glinting with remnants of their memories, both cherished and haunting. What just happened? Jennifer's voice trembled. Fear crawled up her spine like an unwelcome guest. Did we defeat it? Not yet, Sarah replied, feeling a chill wash over her. I think this is just the beginning. From the dim recesses of the room, new shadows gathered, swirling and morphing into grotesque shapes. Anxiety bit at Sarah's gut. We have to figure out how to find Daniel, she insisted. What did we see in the mirrors? It's like they were telling us something. Jake tightened his grip on the object, his jaw set in determination. We have to focus. If that was Daniel's message, we need to decode it. He was trying to warn us, but why? Suddenly, a distinct rumble echoed from the walls like thunder. The lights dimmed, creating tense silhouettes that writhed. You won't escape your fate. You are trapped here forever. Shut up, Jennifer shouted, clutching her head. What do you know about us? A sneer echoed back. I know everything: a severed friendship, lies, and betrayal. You think you're heroes? You're just children playing with forces you can't comprehend. The shadows shifted, forming a vivid scene that played out in the center of the room. There they saw a confrontation, the three of them arguing heatedly, blame and fear swirling in their words. It was ugly, a snapshot of their deepest fractures. Look, Sarah shouted, pointing. We can't let it use our anger against us. That is not who we are. But before they could react, the shadows churned, and the scene morphed again. This time it was Daniel, eyes wide, his face smudged with panic as he reached out toward them. A silent scream of desperation itched at Sarah's heart. Help me, he mouthed, but the words were swallowed by darkness. Then a piercing whistle sliced through the air, bringing with it visions of shadows clawing at Daniel, dragging him away. The sight twisted Sarah's insides and she gasped. He is out there somewhere. We have to find him. Focus, Jake implored, his eyes darting to the shimmering shapes around them. What do we have that can help us? It's the object, Jennifer cried, her voice sharper now. It must be connected. We need to unlock its power. But before they could devise a plan, a shadow lunged at them, grasping at their throats with icy fingers. They stumbled back, panic stealing their breath. You think your bond can save you? Screeched. You're weaker together than you believe. As the pain gripped them, Sarah felt the warmth of the object pulse against her palm, as if in response to their peril. In a moment of clarity she realized it wasn't just an object. It was a lifeline, a piece of their shared strength. Together, she shouted, her voice resonating through the chaos. We hold the truth. We are not what that thing says. In unison they raised the object high, pouring their will and love into it. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as a bright white light burst from the object, forcing them back. The room cracked and splintered, revealing dim pathways stretching into darkness. What if we split up? Jennifer suggested, fear evident in her eyes but a spark hopeful. No, Sarah retorted. We'll face it together. We stick together or we won't make it. The shadows writhed as the entity roared in fury. You may resist me now, but I will see you undone. They held tightly to one another, hearts racing, adrenaline pumping. The truth is stronger than the darkness, Jake declared. A sudden clarity ignited in Sarah's mind, as if a veil had been lifted. Daniel, we will reach you. With a collective breath they charged forward, ready to defy whatever awaited them. But just as they crossed into the next realm, a voice echoed behind them, chilling to the core. You think you've won? The truth will be your downfall. The darkness closed in. Sarah felt the ground tremble beneath them, the weight of the shadows pressing closer, and with one last pulse of energy, she knew a pivotal truth awaited them at the end of that dark corridor. Would they uncover what truly happened to Daniel before it swallowed them whole? The air was thick with tension as Sarah, Jake, and Jennifer braced themselves against the encroaching shadows. They stood united, a fragile shield against the dark force that sought to tear them apart. The entity's voice echoed in their minds, twisting their fears into haunting reminders of the past. Together, Sarah shouted, igniting a flicker of courage in her chest. We can't let it win. Jake and Jennifer nodded, fear etched on their faces but determination burning in their eyes. They held onto the shimmering object, their lifeline, anchoring them in the storm raging around them. The shadows lunged, but this time Sarah stepped forward, closing her eyes to push down the rising panic. What do you want? She shouted, her voice raw but steady. You're just feeding on our fears. The entity laughed, reverberating off the walls, shrill and mocking. Fears? No, dear child. I'm feeding on your doubts, your betrayals. You'll never escape what you've buried. No, Jennifer interjected, raw strength rising within her. We won't let you use our past against us. We've made mistakes, yes, but we've also loved fiercely. We will not let you tear us apart. The shadows seemed to waver, hesitating, as if her words struck a chord. Sarah felt a surge of hope. We are not what happened before. We can choose a different ending. Jake stepped in, his voice firm. And we will find Daniel. We owe it to him. The entity's laughter faltered, and for a moment, Sarah sensed a shift. Daniel? He chose his path just as you have. Why should I let you interfere with destiny? Because we are stronger than you know. Jake declared. Family means everything, and we will stand together, no matter the cost. With those words they raised the object high, a beacon of light illuminating the swirling darkness around them. As the light spread they saw glimpses of Daniel's face, framed in the chaos, a mix of fear and strength. Help me echoed softly, tinged with desperation. The shadows recoiled, but the entity retaliated, sweeping towards them like a tidal wave. You think you can defy me? You're trapped in a web of your own making. No, Sarah shouted, her voice booming. We can break free. We will find the truth and you will lose your grip. In a moment of clarity, she closed her eyes and focused on the love shared between them. Daniel, we're coming, she whispered, her heart filling with resolve. Each pulse of light from the object intensified. The shadows screeched, thrashing against the brightness as if repelled by its very essence. Sarah felt a warmth envelop her heart. Memories flooded her mind, laughter shared with family, Daniel's reassuring smile, moments of vulnerability turned into strength. Together, they shouted in unison, their words mingling with the light, exploding into a brilliant flash that washed over the room, revealing truths long buried. Visions swirled around them, showing glimpses of Daniel's last days, intertwining with painful truths about family secrets, betrayals that plagued them from the shadows. Each one felt like a jagged piece of glass, but it was the truth they needed. Face it head on. Don't let it consume you, Sarah urged, feeling every moment of pain threading through her heart. We've all stumbled, but we can rise. The entity howled in fury. You will not win. You think love can conquer all? It will not save you from the darkness you created. But they held tighter to one another, hearts racing, faces set. Love has brought us here, Jake shouted defiantly. It's our greatest strength, and it will help us find Daniel and save him. With a fierce pulse they poured all their emotions and truths into the light, hoping it would guide them home. The shadows convulsed, drawing back, revealing a pathway illuminated by shimmering gold. Suddenly, there was a blinding flash. The shadows dissipated like mist in the sun, leaving only the glow of the light. They found themselves standing in a familiar space, their old family room, filled with warm light and the scent of Daniel's favorite coffee. As reality settled, they looked at one another, bewildered yet hopeful. Did we do it? Jennifer asked, her voice trembling. Whereas Daniel? Sarah scanned the room, searching for his familiar figure, and just then, he appeared in the doorway, looking just as they remembered him, strong, kind, yet there was an unease etched in his features. "You found me," he said, relief washing over him. "I was afraid you wouldn't come." "Daniel." Sarah rushed forward, embracing him tightly. "We feared we lost you." The warmth of his presence felt like a blanket against cold fears. "You fought to save me, to confront the darkness. And for that I am grateful." "Why did it take so long?" Jake asked, glancing around the room, unsure of their safety. Daniel's expression turned solemn. "I left parts of myself behind in that house. It was never just about money or inheritance. There were truths too painful to face, secrets that had to come to light. But now that you've faced them, we can heal." Sarah exchanged looks with Jake and Jennifer, hope solidifying as understanding blossomed. They had faced their fears and uncovered the truth. They were free. With Daniel standing before them, the weight of their shared struggle transformed into reaffirmation. Together, Jennifer murmured, a smile breaking across her face. "Yes," Daniel replied, strength in his voice. "Together we can rebuild." In that moment, shadows lifted, and light flooded their souls. They had confronted the darkness, and it had only served to bind them more closely. The past no longer held them captive. They were ready to face whatever came next together. As a family, Sarah took a deep breath and looked at her newly revived family. They had overcome the chaos, and now a new dawn broke ahead as they stepped forward, united in their next chapter. One truth resonated in their hearts: the light they carried was stronger than any darkness could ever hope to be. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on exclusive stories just like this one. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, so we can keep bringing these narratives to life. And don't hold back, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this roller coaster of an ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. So don't wait even one more second.